Hi, and welcome back to the Mortgage Broker broadcast. Quite a lot of feedback I get with regards to the podcast is that yes, we get good guests. I'm so lucky to the guests that have been on the podcast. But the ones that get the most feedback are when we have brokers on talking about their journeys and what they've done, why they chose to do it, being brave, insecurity, and all those sorts of things. So what I want to do is get Richard Jubb onto the podcast. Richard started out in financial services 18 months ago, probably just slightly less than that. Came from non-industry, wanted to get into the industry, did his qualification, came under trading of CS Mortgage Solutions, and now he's set up Breathe Mortgages. So he's a now business owner, and yeah, it's a good to hear his sort of experience in his journey from being a non-industry, getting into the industry as a mortgage broker, to now own his own business as a mortgage broker. So yeah, let's just get Richard onto the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Richard. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Craig. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And thanks for agreeing to come onto the podcast and sparing some of your busy schedule to talk about you and your journey, and obviously now being a business owner. So I really do appreciate that. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it, mate, to be fair.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Thanks for inviting me on, and yeah, looking forward to hopefully kind of getting stuck in and adding some value for people listening.
But I think that's it, mate. A lot of with the podcast, as you know, we do get various guests on there. We've got lenders, business owners, brokers in the industry and what shape guys they are. And I think it's just good. Sometimes a lot of the ones that get the most feedback are the ones that people like yourself who have been on a journey, and you sharing that journey, and people sat on the fence, shall we say, or sat on the in the stadium looking in, going, "Oh, I could do that. I want to do that," kind of thing, and just an understanding of what you went through and what you're going through and what's and whys and stuff like that. It does get the most interest from people, because then it just hopefully gives those who are thinking about going self-employed or setting up their own firm, gives them that impetus and that bit of a push to go, yeah, like I want to do that, and
Yeah,
I'm interested to learn from somebody who has done it. Like you're in the hot seat, you're in the front seat driving this, so it's good to share your experiences. So I appreciate that.
no, you're welcome. Yeah, I think obviously going back to when I was looking into getting into, you know, a new career effectively, something like this would have been invaluable for me to listen to. So yeah, more than happy to take the time to answer your questions and see what we can cover.
Excellent, thanks very much. And so, first of all, do you want to go back and sort of look at and talk about what sparked financial services for you? Because you came totally from non-industry, so when did that all start thinking you wanted to get into the world of financial services, mate?
Yeah, it kind of comes from property really. So yeah, it was more kind of a love of the property market and property as an investment effectively that kind of sparked me off. So I kind of got in myself in a situation where I had a house. It was that debate: do I keep it or do I sell it? And I started researching buy to let at that point. And it just kind of blew my mind what was possible if you invested in property and held it over a long period of time. So that kind of got the juices flowing, and that was alongside my business to business sales career at the time, which I wasn't particularly fond of. So I kind of ended up thinking, right, I'm going to buy enough property, replace my salary with rental income, and put my feet up by the time I'm 40. Now, what actually happened was I was furloughed from my job in 2020, like many people were, and that kind of sparked actually putting your feet up isn't all it's cracked up to be. Why don't you do a job that you actually enjoy? So I kind of looked at what property related fields I could go into with kind of what I was good at, what I enjoyed, and mortgage advisor was kind of something that came up. So I dealt a bit more qualification in my own time, sort of during lockdown, and then yeah, kind of reached out to you, Craig, and the rest is history, I guess. So yeah, hopefully that covers that enough.
No, it does, mate, and I think I appreciate that. And I think using the time of furlough and you always had that plan, but then obviously furlough helped that with a lot of people. A lot of people sort of look how many people I sort of see and speak to and talk to that have changed careers, not just coming to financial services, but changed their overall outlook on life and used that time of being on furlough wisely and kickstarted a new career. So, but just one thing I wanted to talk when you looked at your qualification, because you touched on it briefly there. What did you do intense? Was it just ordering the books yourself? Was it CF route? Was it CMAP route? What was sort of what was your thought process around that?
Yeah, so I kind of wanted the path of least resistance. There was a few people talked about, well, do the kind of CF route so that you might be future proof of financial advice one day. But that was so like beyond where I wanted to be at that point. So I just went down the CMAP route. I did it, yeah, off my own back. Just went straight to LIBF, ordered the materials. I think I did get suckered into one kind of online portal for a couple of £100 or whatever it was, which wasn't worth it. So if I give anyone any advice, I'd probably start with London Institute of Banking and Finance. Get yourself kind of booked on to CMAP, CMAP 1, and get the materials from them, and then work out, have I got enough here to to be able to learn and pass the exams. Like for me, it was literally just read a chapter of the book, answer the questions at the end, work out any gaps in your knowledge, and sit a couple of mock tests and see where you're at, sort of thing. So, but yeah, it was a very strange period of time then. So it was like literally wake up, read a chapter of the book, go do some renovating on a house I was working on, come walk the dog, read another chapter of the book, answer the questions. So it was a very strange period of time, and I imagine it would be more difficult and had taken me longer to do if I was, actually working properly throughout.
Yeah.
But my learning style it kind of worked. Made a few notes, coloured pens and stuff like that, and yeah, it only took me probably, I don't know. I think I must have started it in March, April, passed by July, August. So it wasn't
Right.
long. So yeah, that might be the kind of best people can hope for in terms of passing everything in a short period of time. It might take a bit longer if you've got a full-time job.
No, it is, and I think
Well,
that's like, but I think the way that you went about things at that time is testament to who you are and how you are, because it was very much about accountability for yourself, responsibility. This is something you wanted to do. So it wasn't a case of reaching out and doing the online. It was, but you structure and you got structure today, which structure to your day, which was also very important for people looking to go self-employed. First of all, that's the biggest thing that I struggle with going from employed to self-employed was structuring my day. And it's just sometimes you go through those, and that's what people tend to find one of the biggest things is. Whereas for you, it was getting up, doing a chapter, doing some renovation, out with Howard. Just to clarify, Howard is your dog.
the
Just
dog,
so
yeah,
that, yeah, just clarify that. Out with Howard, getting a break, then coming back, then another chapter kind of thing. So you were giving yourself structure, which is giving yourself far chance of being successful. Because if there isn't that structure there, it could be a case of, yeah, I'll do some of that book tomorrow. I'll get out today and do this. You can give yourself excuses not to do it, and then all of a sudden you're not within 3 months, 4 months of passing it. It's sort of then a year later, 18 months later, saying, yeah, I'm still doing my studying and I'm great. Whereas I struggle with that, because if I'm putting my mind to, if I'm deciding to do something, I'll take a bit of time to decide over it. But once I've decided I'm going to do it, it's 100% into doing it. So then you're living. Well, I know when I did my CMAP, I did it in 2 weeks. I did 1, 2, and 3 in 2 weeks. But I went away, ate, lived, breathed, CMAP, morning till night kind of thing, and just did it that way, which gave me structure. It was easier for me to do that because I would look at the time that my employer allowed me to do that, and it was quite some time ago. But I just think you've got to find your own way of doing it, and I think, but it gives me an idea, or gives people an idea about you and what you're about when you force that structure upon yourself and thought, right, I'm going to get this done in a certain period of time during a time of certainly uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not that difficult when something's quite exciting and you want to you want to get to that end result. Like, I don't mean that the CMAP material was that
I'm gonna
exciting. I
say,
wanted to have
yeah,
it. But
yeah,
all I
yeah,
mean is when you've got the goal in mind of, right, I want this new career, this new way of life, then you don't wake up and go, oh God, I've got to read that book today. You sort of, right, that's what I need to do to get to that. So I'm going to do it. Like, even though some of it's a bit dry, and you might learn a bit of it and never use it in your actual job when you start. But that's life, isn't it? That's what we all went
yeah.
through at school and university. There's loads of stuff there that you just never will use again, but you've got to learn it to get to where you want to go. So yeah.
Exactly. I think that's it. It does seem like it does help in certain things, but yeah, it's about getting on with the job and learning from there. So, well, we've done enough talking about CMAP and your qualifications. So, you decide to go straight into the self-employed mortgage broking world. Obviously, that's when we started to work together. And then, so like you've gone through that process of how long was you actually sort of being a mortgage broker within CS? How long was that for?
So it was probably what, 15 months, something like that. So just over a year.
Yeah,
I think it was about November 2020 through to yeah. So yeah, that's about right, I think.
yeah, I think yeah, about 15 months. So over that period of time, you sort of was your mind always thinking that one day you did want your own brand in your own business?
Yeah, I think if you go back a little bit to when I was looking at trying to get into this in the first place, I think that's probably what I was visualizing was my own brand, my own company, sort of, self-employed to me at that time was those things. It was being on your own
Right.
and do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so yeah, but obviously having researched and spoken to yourself, Craig, and a few others, it was very clear that it's hard enough when you're an established advisor to go on your own where you're not sure where your next lead's going to come from. It's hard enough when people have been doing this for a while. So going straight in to that world, no advice, experience, don't know where my leads are going to come from. That would have been extremely challenging. And who knows how it would have gone. So yeah, the right thing for me at the time, and luckily, you facilitated that for me, was to be self-employed and work within CS, because then I had the kind of almost best of both worlds ability to create my self-generated business and grow it as much as possible. But at the same time having the support of CS and the leads that you guys can generate via all the different avenues in case my self-generated business wasn't ticking enough. So yeah, I'd say it's always something, since I sort of thought, oh, I might be a mortgage advisor, what about this? That's probably what I visualized. But
Right.
maybe just didn't realize, until you gave me a reality check, that just how tough it would be to go straight in to doing it that way.
But it just the way that you've done it gives you a far greater chance of being successful rather than going sort of straight and thinking, because like you say, it could have you wouldn't have allowed it to happen, but for a lot of people that I see, it's like it's not necessarily going down a different path, not necessarily the right path, and they maybe sold the role and told what to do and what they should be doing, and then they just fall out of love with the job. So they go through the qualifications, go through the CMAP, go through all this sort of pain and suffering for a period of time, then get into the role and go, oh, I've made the wrong decision, because they've not been fully aware of what the options are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, shall we say. So it's just giving you a greater chance of being successful, which you proved to be as a mortgage broker, mortgage advisor within CS. So which was testament to you and the kind of person that you are.
Yeah, I think, and like, it always going to depend on your circumstances as well. So if you're making this leap into a self-employed world, then maybe you've got loads of money and it doesn't matter that your business doesn't get going for a year, but maybe you think you can stomach 3 6 months on not a lot of income, but then after that it needs to work. Then you you've got to be pretty confident, if you're going to set up on your own straight away, that's either that's going to come quickly, or that I don't know, that you've got the reserves there to support you for a period of time, that might, like, if I'd have gone straight in on my own with no leads from CS, I might have been okay, but I just don't know that. I don't know how it would have gone. So I'm I reflect and think I made exactly the right choices for me. It might not be the same for others, but they were definitely the right choices for me at the time.
So then moving on now to the exciting times of 1st of March, launching Breathe Mortgages. So look at the
Yeah.
smile on your face now. That's it there, look there.
No, Craig, you're embarrassing me. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think obviously we it's been on the radar for, I don't know, probably the back end of 2021 when we sort of started talking about it. I probably didn't, when I first started, visualize ever, go into this route maybe as quickly as I am doing. But then again, I couldn't have dreamed that I'd have had such a good kind of 2021 in terms of, self-generated business, without taking many leads from CS. So I think that's kind of what provoked it, was that, well, actually, I'm going to be okay here. I don't, no disrespect, Craig, as in, I don't need to take CS leads. I've got enough
Mhm.
self-generated work going on that a bit of that fear sort of goes away then, because you're backing yourself to, there's always another, recommendation come through, or something through your social media, or friend of a friend. So me now knowing what I'm capable of, it was much easier to kind of get serious about making this move.
I think that's it. Like you say, you go through that. It's the same for anybody going self-employed for the first time. It's like, where am I going to get my leads from? That is predominantly where the biggest question, that and the biggest reason why people don't do it is because they're concerned about where that's coming from. But you didn't dip your toe in the water because you literally went both feet straight in it. However, it was a little bit more security of what you're doing. But like now, like you say, you quickly realize that actually this was the right career move. You was the right person for this role, and the way that you are and your values and things like that. So you quickly building a reputation for yourself in the local area to you, and also within your network as well, of people that you know and people that know who you are and trust. And you are, like I say, you've got various social networking sort of going on, which just all those things coming together, it helps with, obviously, with your buy to lets and your property portfolios and things like that, in terms of your knowledge and stuff like that you've got going on. And that's understandable. You're going to be doing more of that stuff because that's the world you're in for quite a period of time, and that's where your knowledge comes across. Not saying that you're niching in that, because you haven't. You're literally doing everything from residential, like your protection, like we talked about, and your buy to lets and everything else in between. So you haven't not niched in that, which is good. Like, I get why people do niche, and I've talked about that a lot, and it would probably been easy for you to do that given the comfort of your background and what you've been doing. But it wasn't a case that it was like, let's reach out. You just sort of approached a few estate agents. You've got a good, like a few introducer, like now sort of working with you in terms of quality of leads and stuff like that. So you're in a, it was doing thing on, I think when you look at it, it's the way that you set it up on solid foundations, mate. I think that's the thing. You just didn't do it on a whim of thinking, let's just like, I'm not going to use any phrases because they've been said so many times before, in terms of rocks and building on sand and things like that. But it's what it's about. It's like, it is, you built it on solid foundations, and because it's going to give you a greater chance of being successful and making this work. And that's what you've done. You've built it on solid foundations.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, isn't it? It's not just the foundations being, the getting it right in terms of the reasons for getting into it, but then kind of the way I've gone about it, not tried to run before I can walk, sort of thing, as well, as meant that had a lot more confidence at every phase, rather than kind of going, completely on my own straight away. No support from you, Craig. Like, literally part of a network, and big overheads, and then probably it could have been 6-9 months, and the fear could have got me, and I'm back in doing a sales job I don't enjoy. So yeah, I'm like I said, no regrets from my side in terms of the way I've gone about things.
So what was when you look back and sort of thinking, because obviously you've been trading now, Breed Mortgages, we're a few weeks in, this is like your first full month sort of doing it, and we'll talk about where your head's at and has anything changed in your mindset over that short, which is such a short period of time. But what was your sort of like, where was your head at? Did you sort of like say turn of the year? Is it sort of like, right, what do I call this? What's my website? What was sort of going through your sort of your mind at that particular time?
Yeah. Well, I probably didn't really. I don't know. I kind of did appreciate what needed to be done, but probably underestimated it a little bit in terms of the to-do list that there is to get started. But for me, once we obviously discussed everything um, and kind of worked out that it was the right route for me, then yeah, the kind of we started talking about the to-do list. So probably the most overwhelming thing for me was the name. Like I'm not very good with this kind of thing. So sitting down and trying to come up with a name that wasn't Richard Jubb Mortgages was a little bit kind of stressful. But yeah, other than that, it's just like anything. There's a list of stuff to get done, and there's an order to do it. But as soon as you've got the name, a nice, your logo set up, some colours, then it's just website, and yeah, there's a few other things, but it's all quite dreary administrative tasks that once they're done, this you do it once and they're done really. So yeah, it was kind of like just an extra to-do list really. It wasn't too bad once I'd come up with the brand and everything.
I can see in your mind all these Trello boards going on, mate. I can sort of see them right now. And for those that
Yeah,
don't know, we use Trello as a business, and Richard really has taken Trello to town and in an amazing kind of way. So yeah, I think you should have an affiliate for Trello, mate, and I'm sure you can be selling it and earning some income out of it. To be fair.
yeah, that'd be a nice side hustle, wouldn't it?
Exactly. So you've got all these. I think again, going back to we can clearly see from you, it's about being organized in it. It's having that to-do list and knowing what comes when, what you need to do when, having a process with this, because you have got to. You did reach out to people in terms of support, so you have had obviously people have helped with like logos and content and your social media and things like that. You are reaching out to various people. That comes at a cost, doesn't it? I think that's something that you're always aware of, but you don't realize until you start doing it. It's like, well, building my website, and then if I'm having somebody hosting it, and then my social media, and then my content, and all those sorts of things soon to start to add
Mm.
up. Like, and that's the sort of thing you got to be aware of. It's great having this business and this brand that is yours, and the thing is that's exactly what it is nobody can take that away from you, but it's just there is a little bit of a cost that comes with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key thing is probably for anyone looking at this is don't just go, "Oh, I'll be fine." Like, just
Yeah.
actually look, just spreadsheet it or make notes of these are what my overheads are going to be when I go down this route. As in, I'm setting up my own company, so I've got to buy the domain name. I've got to uh, kind of have some kind of website, and yeah, you can build it for free, but maintaining it's going to cost a bit of money. You're going to use your home address. Do you want to do that, or do you need to get a kind of a mailbox somewhere, and then everything else that goes with that? You need to set up a limited company probably if you're going to really lock down your name and your brand. Make that dormant. That's not necessarily very costly, but it's more just the kind of admin involved with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you've written all these things down, like for example with social media, I was pretty bad at it. Like when I was with CS, I had little phases where I was good. I did 3 a week or whatever, but I spent ages doing them to try and make them look good. And you know, we had a session with Chris Target at Social for Brokers, and it was just music to my ears. I was like, someone to do it for me, incredible. I'll pay you whatever you want, sort of thing.
Don't
So
tell him that. Don't say that to him.
no, yeah, cut that one out. No,
Yeah.
but yeah, like in terms of like valuing if I value my time and look at what I enjoy doing, I could very well do my own social media and do 3 a week, but it would take me hours. It would take me hours, and it would look very average. So for me, it was a perfect timing to look. I'm starting a new brand. I want it to look good, so I'll look to work with somebody on that, and that's what I did. So yeah, that's another overhead, but obviously that's optional for me. Like that's what I've chosen to do. But yeah, if anyone's looking to get into it, it's just writing down, right, what are my annual sort of overheads going to be, or your monthly overheads? Phone line's another one, for example.
Yeah.
Once you've got that sorted, and someone like yourself, Craig, are going to clearly help people make sure they pick up on every single little thing that they need to do. Then you trade that off against what kind of volume of business you're going to do, and work out, is this beneficial or not. And for me, obviously, it was relatively simple because I've got a full year of trading under with CS. Not necessarily a standing start, but from kind of November
Yeah.
2020 through to like a full year in 2021. So that's no remortgages, like as in no existing clients that are coming back at the end of the 2-year fix or whatever. So if I use those numbers, and it definitely made sense for me to make this move. And I think the other thing that's probably not the primary driver for me, but it's more just like the opportunity in the future. So with your own brand, if things got busy and got silly, and I didn't have the capacity to look after everybody, then you've got an opportunity to maybe work with someone else then, and then who knows where it can go from there. So yeah, I think hopefully that makes sense and sort of summarizes that.
No, it does. I think that we're clearly sort of saying that there's a lot of things to consider when you're looking to do this. I think you're absolutely right. I think like in the future, if it's something you want to do with growth and stuff like that, it's always it is sort of it can be like there are more decisions to make of finding the right person. Do they like share with like the same values as me and all those sort of things? But by then you'll have built this business up. It'll be built on stability, solid foundations, and then you just add into to what you've already got in terms of, and there'll be people that will want to work with you, and you will give them the opportunity because it has that knock-on effect. It's like I was on a podcast the other week and talking about how I got into financial services, and somebody gave me an opportunity. I will never ever forget that. I will never ever will ever lose that thought in my mind. And it's the same for like yourself. It's like you've got that opportunity, and then like you're giving somebody else opportunity. It's sort of, but in the right way. It's in the right way. You're giving these people life-changing opportunities to work in an industry that they maybe want to work in, and want to, because it is life-changing for your clients. You've seen it. You get the 5-star reviews, you get the feedback. It is life-changing for these people in terms of what you're doing. So you can pass that on to people that you want to work with, and that's your call to make. That's the beauty of this.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not a kind of it's not a kind of primary driver in terms of I want to create an empire and take over the world, and but if that opportunity does come up, yeah, I'm clearly gonna want the right person, and not just go, well, I need someone who can get up and running now and experience and all that. It's more about, yeah, like you said, you giving me an opportunity, for example, although I'd had a pretty long sales career. You didn't know anything like, could I do this or not? You've gone on a hunch, and kind of a feeling
Gut
that,
feeling,
yeah,
trust
yeah,
your gut.
and that's kind of, yeah, that I think that's what I would do if the opportunity came up. So yeah.
I was just literally going to hit the mute button again, just in case that I can hear them jets sort of coming past again, kind of thing. So I'm just conscious of that. So you're now sort of 3-4 weeks in of trading under Breathe. How's, like, is it still putting a smile on your face? Is it still looking to future? Is it still as exciting now as what it was when you started to think about putting this all together?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of like it's a bit strange really, because once it's done, like a lot of stuff is the same as before.
Yeah.
Like a
I'm
lot
glad
of
you said that because I could tell by I knew you were going to say that.
yeah. Well, it is. So, because I'm kind of lucky in a way that obviously, Craig, I was with CS before, and a lot of my systems are the same, and my logins are the same and everything. So my day-to-day life hasn't changed a great deal. And because I'm obviously paying someone to do my social media, then it's just it's very 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 similar. Um, but
Oh,
yeah,
that's good though, mate. That's good. Like you don't need to create the change.
no, I didn't need to be, creating a whole load of stress and stuff. And I think I would be tearing my hair out right now if I had to go and register with all the lenders again, probably. But that's that's something you'd have to stomach if it was the right thing for you to do. But
Yeah,
yeah, for me, it's exciting because it's kind of my brand now. So there is little things that are different, like when I'm sending out a agreement in principle certificate, it's on my headed paper, and when I'm working with clients, it's my stationery and stuff, and so it's it's exciting, but it is largely the same right now because well, I think that's probably testament to the way you've helped me transition over, because all the work was kind of done Jan Feb really in terms of the getting set up, and now my day to day is very similar, which means I can just focus on clients, which is kind of the point, isn't it? So yeah,
yeah,
I don't want to
exactly.
spend loads of time, pretending I'm important running a business when when really what I need to do is look after my clients, because that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
So
But that's it. Looking after your clients, everything else will come. Like if you don't need to create the pandemonium, the drama, any sort of friction and things like what you've talked about. It's just like it is a smooth transition, which you and like you say, your clients will see those little bits of differences, but it's still you. It's still doesn't
yeah,
matter whether like it's people buying to you. Like it doesn't really matter what brand you trade under or what your situation is, as long as you're doing right by the clients, giving the right service, and that's the forefront of your mind, and chasing the client and chasing the service, not the income and everything. And like you say, this sort of around that, it's everything else will come.
yeah, I think that's spot on. And I think just because of the way I was before in terms of heavily self-generated, so I was used to those kind of peaks and troughs of some months you've got loads to do, and then the next month it's gone a little bit quiet, so you get back into your protection. So I wasn't getting quiet on mortgages and then coming to you for leads, Craig. It was like, okay, focus on your own clients, see if you can kind of make sure all your protection conversations are covered off. So yeah, it's very much the same in terms of day to day for me. The Jets are back. It's very much the same in terms of day to day, but I see that as a massive positive. Like I wasn't really looking for it to be different because I was quite happy before in terms of the way my working day was set up and everything. So
Rich, thank you so much, like for sharing your journey. Is there anything that we've not talked about that you wanted to talk about?
um, I don't think there's any major topics we've missed. I'd just say that any like I sort of touched on at the start, if there's if I was going back to when I was kind of having that curiosity about how to get in, how to get into this sort of new career, listening to something like this would have been invaluable. And not just this podcast, Craig, but like a lot of the ones that you've done with other guests. So yeah, hopefully that it reaches a few people and helps them make the right decision for them, whether it is to get into it or not. Because yeah, that's a very kind of a time when you're looking for, you're quite thirsty for information, and you're sort of reading some dry stuff online. I'd have loved to listen to podcasts like this at the time. So yeah, hopefully it helps.
No, it definitely will. No doubt it will, because I know the people that reach out to me and in terms of the feedback that we get on the podcast. And like you say, I'm not doing this for my own ego or anything like that. It's to help people getting into the industry. We do need new people, new blood, people that have got different views into financial services. And I think that's sort of if it's helping one person, then that's good. And like the feedback that we get on the podcast is very positive. So people will be listening, mate, and will take a lot on board from what you said. So Richard, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing again your honesty, where your head was at. And I'm looking forward to sort of seeing where this goes in the future of Breathe Mortgages. So thanks very much.
You're welcome, Craig. Thanks for having me on.